Labor Day. I was told they met tonight.
Good evening. Today is September the 12th, 2022. This is a meeting of the Cherokee County School District Board of Trustees. I'd like to welcome all the guests we have here tonight. I don't see the media here tonight, so I would normally welcome them. But, oh, there we go. Scott. I want to welcome Scott Powell.
Right on.
We got your legend. Thank you, Scott, for being here. Any other guests here, special guests we have, just want to welcome you also. At this time, I'd like for us to stand for the invocation and the pledge. But before we have the invocation, I just want to take a moment of silence as we've been hit with tragedy the past week with two members of our school district being lost. Miss Tina Jones, who was a teaching assistant at B.E. Lee, and Miss Renee Zucker, who was the transportation director there in Blacksburg. We've lost them this past week. So just a moment of silence. Mr. Blackwell, if you'll pray for us after that.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity of being here again. Lord, we thank you, Lord, for giving us the opportunity to serve the children of Cherokee County. And we ask, Lord, that you give us the wise decisions to make on everything that comes before us. We ask, Lord, that you give us all the information it takes to make that decision. And all that we do, Lord God, we thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We'll have the presentation of colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. The next item on the agenda is approval of board agenda. Do I hear a motion that we approve the board agenda?
Make a motion to approve the board agenda.
Have a motion from Ms. Gallman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Shackelford. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous. The next item on the agenda is the approval of board minutes. So the first is from August 8th, 2022, public hearing. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion to approve board minutes dated August the 8th, 2022.
Have a motion from Ms. Dawkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Saray. Any discussion? Those in favor of approval, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Next is the minutes from August 8th, 2022, board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion to approve board meeting minutes dated August 8th, 2022.
Have a motion from Mr. Surratt. Do I have a second? A second from Ms. Shippey. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. That is unanimous. Next is approval for minutes for a board meeting on August 18th, 2022. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes dated August 18th, 2022.
Motion from Mr. Blackwell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Dawkins. Any discussion? There's none. All in favor, please show by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you. The next item we have on the agenda is honors, accomplishments, and commendations. Dr. Fall.
We got a lot, so bear with us. We're gonna have them coming in now.
The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, Cherokee County Coroner's Office, Gaffney Police Department, and South Carolina Highway Patrol delivered school supplies that had been collected in the community to all schools in Cherokee County. 17 parking spaces behind the Sheriff's Office held all the supplies going to schools. Every school in the county received a pickup truckload of school supplies. We are honored to recognize these individuals for their support and dedication to the Back to School Supply Drive. The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Steve Mueller.
We got a sub.
The Cherokee County Coroner, Coroner Dennis Fowler. The Gaffney Police Department, Police Chief Knight. Cadets from Gaffney High School's Air Force Junior ROTC program attended the Converse College Cadet Leadership School in Spartanburg, winning a total of 5 top awards, with one cadet receiving the highest award possible. A total of over 200 cadets from Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina represented their best at this program. The daily schedule was challenging with a 5:30 a.m. start and a 10:30 p.m. finish. The emphasis of the activities during the program included teamwork, self-discipline, leadership, and respect for authority. Yazir Estrado earned the highest award given, the Commander's Award for his stellar performance. Additional award recipients were Luke Laskanik, Ironman Award and Distinguished Graduate, Jaden Johnson, the Military Officers Association Award, and Garrett Moss, Outstanding Element Leader.
Congratulations.
The College Board National Recognition Program is based on performance on either the Advanced Placement Exam or the PSAT. Students who achieve distinction status on 2 AP exams or who score in the top 10% in the state on the PSAT are eligible for this award. This evening, we have recipients from both Gaffney High School and Blacksburg High School. Alyssa Reynolds, National Rural and Small Town Award, Gaffney High School. Arlenor Rodriguez, National Hispanic Recognition Award. Caitlin Hines, National Rural and Small Town Award. Emily Largent, National Rural and Small Town Award. Jillian Eubanks, National Rural and Small Town Award. Mickey Blanton Hartman, National Rural and Small Town Award. Preya Patel, National Rural and Small Town Award. Sean Ponder, National Rural and Small Small Town Award.
Congratulations.
The Cherokee County School District has partnered with the University of South Carolina Upstate to provide a master's degree cohort for a group of 25 students annually. This is a 2-year program in applied learning where they may choose to specialize in gifted and talented learning, English language learning, or project-based learning. This is our first graduating class this evening, and our members are Zach Bridges, Gaffney Middle School, Kayla Brown, Limestone Central Elementary School, Holly Childers, Grassy Pond Elementary School, Ashley Cox, Drakeville Elementary School, Lindsay DeBoard, Northwest Elementary School, Lindsay Logan, Blacksburg Primary School, Bailey Fry, Limestone Central Elementary School, Megan Humphries, Blacksburg Primary School, Nikki Holzclaw, Limestone Central Elementary School, Erica Manning, Grassy Pond Elementary School, Grayson Paget, B.D. Lee Elementary School, Alyssa Phillips, B.D. Lee Elementary School, Neely Queen, Draytonville Elementary School, Brittany Nicole Root, Draytonville Elementary School, Megan Surratt, Northwest Elementary School, Stacy Smith, Northwest Elementary School, April Smoke, Corinth Elementary School, Kimberly West, B.D. Lee Elementary School, Madison Wood, Corinth Elementary School, Danielle Wright, Blacksburg Primary School.
I'm gonna do 2 rows.
Shorter ones.
Everyone
Ready, smile big? Okay, good.
Wonderful accomplishment.
Jeremiah Green has been selected by the South Carolina State Department of Education as a student panelist for the South Carolina Computer Science of 2022. We are so very proud to have Jeremiah representing the Cherokee County School District at this upcoming summit, which I believe is the 19th, isn't it, Jeremiah? It's coming up quick. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Jeremiah.
Great job.
Varsity Brands released a study revealing the powerful link between school spirit, student involvement, achievement, and self-confidence. It was found that students with higher levels of spirit perform better academically, feel happier, and more connected to their schools and communities. Inspired by these findings, Varsity Brands School Spirit Awards created special achievements through their businesses, BSN Sports, Varsity Spirits, and Herb Jones. A total of $60,000 of awards was created across 12 categories. This year with cash prizes of $3,000 for individual winners. A few words about our winner from her colleagues. Love, loyalty, and spirit. No better words describe Gaffney High School's Karen Denton. On any given day, she can be found in the media center surrounded by students while she tutors each in math or science, especially in chemistry. Her patience, techniques, and way of making even the toughest problem for a student understandable is astonishing. She is a guru of all things Gaffney High School and its endeavors. In addition to knowing all things Gaffney High School, including its history, alumni, and all students, she has served as the chairperson of Senior Awards Day for more than 10 years. She is a lead on Prom Bash, Homecoming Committee, and other community programs, including a local soup kitchen. Karen epitomizes joy for Gaffney High School. This joy and loyalty have roots and depth beginning back in the early 1990s when she was a student at Gaffney High School. Her love, loyalty, and spirit compelled her to return years later to her alma mater to inspire others. Karen Denton is Gaffney High School Teacher of the Year for America's Most Spirited Teacher and Varsity Brands National School Spirit Award. Mr. Brandon Watkins has 4 years of teaching experience. He has taught at Ewing Middle School and now at Gaffney Middle School. In 2017, he was the Cherokee County Support Staff Employee of the Year for all of his hard work in the Curriculum and Instruction Department. Along with his teaching duties, Mr. Watkins will serve as Limestone University's site coordinator for its Call Me Mr. Teacher Mentor program. Mr. Watkins states, "My teaching philosophy combines my experience as a student and teacher and the influences of my past teachers. Good teachers are knowledgeable about their content, but great teachers are intentional about building positive relationships, immersing students in magical learning experiences, and creating a learning environment that is safe, equitable, and inclusive." Mr. Brandon Watkins is our District Teacher of the Year. Ms. Kristen Surratt can always be seen with a smile on her face and ready to greet her students at Blacksburg Primary School as their cafeteria operator. She loves her students and cannot wait to see them each day. Ms. Kristen Surratt is our District Support Staff of the Year. Ms. Erica Irwin loves teaching and enjoys watching her students grow each day. She delivers energy and excitement in her classroom at Drakeville Elementary School as a 4th grade teacher. Ms. Erica Irwin is our district first-year Teacher of the Year.
Congratulations, Ms. Irwin.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Everybody kind of got up and left, so I think next time, as everyone's getting awards, honestly, if you want to make a comment then, please make a comment. They're all good, so we have had a tremendous amount. This is a great start to the year as far as honors, accomplishments, and commendations. We got a lot to talk, Dr. Paul, with all this, so that's great. Next item on the agenda is school board policy BCBI. Dr. Paul?
No public participation.
Thank you.
No one signed up.
Next item is school board policy review. Dr. Paul?
In the policy currently, there's one thing that we need to get a vote and make a decision on whether or not to change the time. In the policy, the time is listed at 7 o'clock, and if we're going to go at 6 o'clock from here on out, I would prefer to change the policy so it reflects that. Like I said, in the original it says regular scheduled time will be at 7. The new one would simply say regular scheduled time will be at 6 p.m. No other changes to it other than the time.
Dr. Paul has brought forward the school board policy, the e-board meetings update. So any motion from the comments Dr. Paul has made with regards to the time, changing it?
I'll make a motion to move the change BE board meeting policy from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion, Mr. Surratt, we have a second, Shackelford. Any discussion?
Yes, has the new board members coming on board been asked if they can make that?
I can. I'm retired.
That's what I said, I don't have a problem either way, and I think most of us owners can, you know.
You good?
Yeah, I can make it happen. We're good.
I'm good as well.
So we have the vote. Okay, all right. So we have a motion to move the board meeting time from 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And a motion is second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous.
Next up, we wanted to update you on the, and this is just administrative rules, so there's not a need for a vote, but wanted to update you so that you were aware we had to adjust the fees on our, when we rent out the buildings and different areas. Some of the reasons are, for instance, like the SROs got a raise this year. So we need to change that to reflect that. Our utilities went up, so we need to change to reflect that. And you can see in your packet the list of things versus the old one that's still on the website until you guys take a vote, or whether you don't take a vote, but until we did this, I didn't want to change it. So I'll be glad to answer any questions on it.
Just a quick question, Dr. Paul, is for the increase for the school resource officers and the utilities, those are the only changes?
There's more than that. It's to balance out all that. And like I said, I mean, I can, if you want, Sherry can go through the item by item, but there's several things that are going to change with it.
Are there any dramatic increases?
I think the biggest one is probably the SRO was probably the biggest change.
Security went from $25 an hour, which they had bumped it up last year to $35. It is now $50 an hour for security for the city and the county. So we were losing money on that. As he said, our utilities went up. We use of the facilities, I mean, it just wasn't covered everything. If we paid custodians to clean up after an event, 99% of the time they're in overtime. With us changing the scale for custodians, that increased that expense. So we modified most of the rental fees for the buildings to accommodate that and cover the expenses related to it.
Any other questions?
So this is for, I've got a question. This is for outside,
Rental facilities.
okay, so no inside, no, but just anybody on the outside, such an organization that wants to rent a facility, okay? And the principal, does the principal still have to approve this? Yeah, I see it now, yes.
The funding from each of these goes to the particular school that's being rented, is that correct?
It goes into a building rental account, and then that pays for the people that are working, that actually, like the custodians or whatever, that has to clean it up. And it goes, we have to pay the city or the county for the security. It comes out of that building rental account.
But things like, I don't know, I see like the power bills and stuff like that. I mean, all
Yeah,
that is
you can't really, that still comes through the district because they're drafted.
That's why I say, so where does that leftover funding go?
It stays in the building rental account.
Therefore, that account's just gonna continue to grow.
Well, it's a building rental account at each of the buildings that we rent out, so it's for that facility. For instance, if they rent the auditorium at Gaffney High School, there's a building rental account at Gaffney High School to cover those expenses.
So that's what I was, back to my question, then, the
Yes.
extra funding goes to the school.
To the school in a building rental account.
That's
yes.
what I asked. Okay. Okay. I know all the others have to be paid.
What happens to that excess money? Is that
It
just,
rolls.
just rolls? So it doesn't go anywhere, it stays in that account?
Ms. Moby, just out of curiosity, how much is in that account? I would imagine not very much.
I don't have that with me, and it
Okay.
depends
I
on
just-
which building you're talking about.
Each building has its own account, correct?
If the
It's
building
not
has
one,
something that is rentable,
yeah,
then yes, it
it's
is.
not one account, each building that is rented has its own individual account, right?
Yes, and just keep in mind, we were losing money on it until. we
Right, that's what,
changed.
that's what
They
my question is.
probably don't have any money in them at this point.
Right, that's what my question was pointing at, yeah, thank you.
And there are times that fees are waived, but we still bear the expense.
Sure.
If you pay.
Anytime fees are waived, you still have to pay.
An administrator to be there, the custodians to clean up, the security to be there, all of that.
Who has the authority to waive?
By call.
Just Dr. Funk.
Any other questions, comments? And just as knowledge, anything that's administrative rules, that we do not, we just take that as information as we do questions. So those new board members, it's not a vote on that. So if you see that, we do not vote on that. That's fine, it's administrative. As far as policy and procedures, we will vote on those and updates to those. All right, next item on the agenda is surplus property proviso.
This is one of many that I'm going to discuss here. Some of these are new legislation, some of them are changes, some of them are already impacting, some of them will be impacting. Majority of them, however, though, we have not gotten model policies from the state yet. So once we get those model policies, I'll bring them back to y'all. Policy as well. But I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of what was going on. The first one is a surplus property. This originated from Sumter County, Merle Smith. They had a bunch of old buildings that were sitting around there from years and years and years. And he got tired of seeing the eyesores, and basically that's how this proviso was introduced and passed. But basically it gives the school district 4 years from the time that you deem a property not used anymore, whether it's a actual school building, a maintenance building, whatever it is, it's just school district property in general. Once it's not used anymore, you have a 4-year window to do something with it. There's 2 different categories that we'll talk about here in just a second, but as you'll notice with a lot of these new provisos, the state is nice. They're going to start charging districts if you're not following things. As you can see there, if a district fails to comply, the South Carolina Department of Education is directed to withhold 5% of all state payments to the district until it complies. 5% is a big chunk. So the first of the 2 different ways is transferring vacant, unused surplus property. Even though the law wasn't in place, this is kind of what we did with Alma, just so that you're aware. Alma went to the county and we basically gave it to them for $1. We transferred that. Well, now they make it legal, much easier to do those kind of transfers whenever it's another agency. We were told that the transfer part does not apply to charter, private schools, those kind of entities. It is more your government agencies and those kind of things. So the transfer part would strictly be if we transfer to county, city, something like that. The other part that we can do with those properties is we can put them up for sale if we don't have anybody that wants to transfer. If there's no interested agencies, then we can put it up for sale at the fair market value, and we can sell those properties. Now, we can sell them, but it's still, the old law that was in place still is in place, that's where your charter schools and those entities come into play, that you have to give them first rights still. That law has not changed. So just so y'all are aware on that. But now they're putting a cap that you have to do something with those properties within 4 years or put them back in some kind of use. Any questions on the surplus before we move into all these other ones?
Dr. Paul,
Yes, ma'am.
so what does that mean for us as far as Mary Bramlett and Go Church? Is it,
We're still good for a couple more years on those. Once it hits that 4-year mark of sitting idle, then we have to make a decision before that point. Either we sell them, move them, if there's a government body that wants to transfer them, or we have to do something to bring them back into the fold of part of our building improvement plan that we send in.
Something more than just like storage?
It can be anything. It can be anything.
so as long as you're saying it's being in use with your school
Yep.
district, you're good to go, you don't have to pay that 5%?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions on the surplus property? All right. Moving along, this one has been in place for quite a while. We haven't had much issue, but they did do a little bit of changing for the equal access, and this is for your private homeschool, charter, those kind of entities that don't have a career center, that may not have a marching band, extracurricular activity type things. One of the changes, the Attorney General reviewed and read that he felt like school districts were doing wrong, and he ruled that students that participate in something extracurricular, there has to also be, if the class is required, let's use marching band for instance, if we said that you had to take the class for marching band to march in the marching band on Friday nights, then we have to allow those kids to partake in that class as well in the school day. CTE is a little bit different because it's federally funded, so they look at CTE because when they calculate their formula for all of our federal funding, they look at our demographics as a whole, not necessarily who's in our school and who isn't. They look at the county, at the census statistics. So they say since they do it that way, we have to do it. So what we did in that case We created a fee schedule for each class that we just sent to the State Department recently because this is something new. And as soon as they get approve or don't approve on that, then I'll get that information to you all. But right now, it's in the approval process. Any questions on the equal access? Yes,
I
ma'am.
do. So, for the first one that you discussed, the extracurricular, that's just AG's opinion though, right? That's not state law, or that's not a judge's.
Well, he's saying that's what the law says.
But that's his opinion of the law, that's his interpretation of the law,
Yes.
right? And the second one, since we received federal funding, we would have to abide by that. That's not debatable, that's what we have to do, right? Okay.
But there are some things that, it doesn't just mean if Mr. Surratt is a homeschool student that he automatically gets in. One, if the fee schedule is, if the state approves that, he would have to pay that. And then the other big caveat that would determine whether or not he gets in is if there's room. In other words, if it's a computer engineering class and there's only 10 computers, our students enrolled in Cherokee County have first dibs to those 10 computers. If it fills up, then Mr. Surratt wouldn't get in. So there's a little bit more to it than just, hey, come to the Career Center. And most of those courses do have a cap on them.
How many students are taking advantage of that now?
Dr. Rose isn't here. She has the exact number. I want to say it was 7 or 8, something like that at the Career Center. There's a handful that are taking advantage of the extracurricular right now.
Okay.
And most of those are marching band. Nothing else? All right, move on to the next one. Accountability is going to be changing. They say 22, 23, but they still don't have the actual numbers yet. So I didn't get too in detail on this because until they actually say what those cutoffs are going to be and stuff, we really don't know how it's going to impact us. But I wanted to give you a quick idea of kind of what they're looking at. So on-track graduate measures for high school, what they're looking at is each year, and this will be part of the reporting, you have to have 6 credits per year that you pass, with one of those being English and one being math. So it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for error, and that's each year 6 with 1 and 1. They are giving us the opportunity to get credit for a 5-year graduate if they actually go on and either finish the diploma or even if they get a GED. So they are going to give us a lesser of a point. And like I said, we don't know what that's going to be yet because they still haven't figured that part out. But we will get some credit for that 5th year as well. And then the criterion for the reference value-added model to replace the current norm rep. This is based off of a study that they looked at in Chicago public schools, and that one is going to be it's going to change a lot because basically it's going to look at each individual student and how they progressed as far as met, not met, that kind of stuff. And once again, we don't have those cutoffs, so it's kind of difficult to really explain it to you. But I included this code here if you want to take a picture and look at it later with your phone. This gives you some videos to explain each one of those things directly from the State Department. So if you want to take a quick picture of that, I'll leave it up for a second. Yeah, it should be in your packet too. Well, no, this one is not. I'll send it to you.
All right, thank you.
And this is for the education oversight
Yeah,
committee? This is
yeah,
from them? Okay. Awesome.
Everybody good on that? Next up is unencumbered time. This is primarily the elementary. Basically, they have to have at least 30 minutes of uninterrupted, unencumbered time, which is going to create some challenges for us moving forward. I can and tell you some ideas that we've kicked around and that other districts have kicked around. Everything from having bus drivers earn an opportunity to make some extra money and covering recess and lunch duties, to hiring people to cover those duties and give that as their 30-minute time. There's all kinds of different ways. One thing the state said that they will not allow and will not be part of the policy whenever it comes out is to add time to the day and say your 30 minutes is at the end. It has to be during that day. So they said they will not allow that. So we're going to have to figure out some kind of way to include those 30 minutes in the day, and the easiest is that lunchtime. Lunchtime and recess time, that 30-minute window there is going to be the easiest way, but it is going to come with an expense because you're going to have to pay people to do those.
And this is not the same as planning period.
No. But once again, they don't have an actual policy out for it yet, so we're waiting until that comes out, until we see the actual specifics of the policy, and then we'll go from there. Any other questions on unencumbered time?
We have a little bit of time, 2023, right?
Yeah, a little bit of time.
A little bit.
And hopefully the policy comes out soon. And that's what I said with all these, we don't even have the policies yet. Even the new accountability piece that's this year, we don't even have all the requirements for it. We don't even know what the cutoffs are going to be or anything yet. So it's, we're waiting on the state on several of these. Next is the partisanship curriculum proviso. And to make this simple, this is an effort to combat critical race theory, Common Core, all those different controversial educational processes or platforms or whatever you want to call them. And basically, you can read through all that if you want, but that's basically what it's saying, and it's telling you that what you can and can't have involved. And they went as far as, at the state, they gave us this example. Now, you would think this worksheet is fine and dandy. It's just, count the number of fruit, put the number, move on, right? Well, the reason that this got flagged is because where the arrow is pointing, and I know that it may be difficult back there, but if you turn to this one, see up there where it says Common Core? This came out of some kind of Common Core workbook. So it got flagged because it says Common Core up there on the top. So just wanted to make you all aware of that. And like I said, if you want to look at that more closely, you feel free. It's 1.93 is the proviso. And you can go through and read all that, but that's in a nutshell what it is. Next is the audits for the upcoming this year. There isn't a whole lot of change for us. The only real change was that the auditors had to be approved through the state, and our auditor is on that list, so there's no real change for us. Any questions about the audit? Next is the assessment proviso 1.86. Once again, and I put it bold there purposely, as you can see, any school district failing to provide this data to the South Carolina Department of Education shall have 10% of their EFA funding withheld until data is provided. And this is basically our iReady data, which iReady is one of the approved assessment tools that the state approved. So we're good. There's not any real change to us, and we never have a problem turning in things on time, so I'm not real worried about the 10. But it is shocking that the state is now going after districts' money. So I just wanted to highlight and make sure that everybody understood and seen that. And 10% of the EFA is a big chunk. So that's proviso 1.86. personal finance proviso, I'm sure that you've heard of this. I think this is a good thing. This is ensuring that our kids have some personal finance classes. It's going to be a half credit, but once again, the state doesn't have it all put together yet. Matter of fact, by the 30th of this month, they have to send their recommendation or proposal to the EOC, and they're going to say yay or nay. So they have to. They said they don't plan on changing the 24 credits for graduation. What they're going to look at is how they can incorporate this half credit into it and divide it up with something else to still keep it at 24. But we won't know until it's approved, yes or no. So it would be a half credit that they will get out of the personal finance. And you can see there it says 24 units to graduate will not change. So what they're looking at is 6.5 for elective credits instead of the 7, and that's where they'll make up half a credit difference. Any questions on that? I think this is a good thing, but I wish the state would get their things together to us in timely fashion so that.
If it's done well.
Right. So, like I said, they have until the 30th of this month to get that approved. So we should get something soon, hopefully. But I just wanted to make you all aware. And once that is, then they'll probably send out, things that I'll share with you all. But until it's approved, 100%. That's all we know at this point. And then we just talked kind of a little bit about this. They still have to develop the content standards. They don't know who's going to be able to teach the course and who isn't. All those kind of things that they still have to figure out.
And is important.
So those are kind of the next steps that they'll be working towards, and as we get that information, then obviously we'll take it and run with it, but they got some work to do. So, and they don't know whether it's going to be a math person, or it's going to be a business head, or what it's going to be that's going to be able to teach it. So, any questions about the personal finance one? Initial certificate guidelines for classroom teaching fields. I'm not going to get into this a whole lot because they're still working on this as well. This is basically they're trying to come up with new ways to get people certified to be in the classroom. One of the big things that they're looking at is test score cutoffs and giving a provisional license. So if Mr. Surratt takes the praxis and misses it by 2 points, he could get a provisional license for that year, and then there's a process that he can go through to continue to keep that license. So they're looking at different ways to get more people eligible to get into the teaching field, I guess is the easiest way to put it. These are 2 different options that they're looking at. This kind of is what I was talking about a minute ago. Let me see, yeah, so basically, if you look at the left hand that says initial certificate standard plan, that is what's in place currently. That's the cutoff scores for those different areas right there. So on the right hand, the last column, the provisional, that's the cutoff. If you make it to that score above, but not enough to get the initial certificate, then you could still get that provisional certificate for those for the first couple of years. It's a 3-year window, and then you got to go through and do some things. But you will still be able to. Right now, you can't. Right now, you just can't get that certificate at all if you don't meet that cutoff score. So this kind of opens up that window because most people you talk to, most of them usually are missing it by 1 or 2 points. It's usually not a big gap. So this will hopefully pick up some of those folks that maybe didn't get into teaching because they just couldn't get that cutoff score. But I just wanted to share that with y'all. And they're working on other opportunities as well for alternative certification and stuff. So I'm sure there will be more coming out in the coming days, weeks, months, year. As you all know, we have a shortage with teachers. So they're going to continuously, in my opinion, try to come up with ways to make it easier for folks. Any questions about the certification stuff? Or any of the things to discuss. I know it's quite a bit, and you'll see them again. I just wanted to give you all a heads up as we get policies from the state and stuff. We'll bring them up again, but I wanted to give you a heads up of what's coming.
In those instances where the state could withhold funding, at what point, so is the funding dumped in a specific, like, one-time lump sum, or is it periodic every month? What is it? Is it deposited?
Yeah, it's a monthly thing, but, and it's gonna depend on, like, for instance, the assessment one. We have a deadline, let's say September 30th. Well, we don't meet that September 30th, and let's say we get it in October 30th. They're gonna take that window of time and calculate what that 10% is gonna be over that. They've always had that ability, but they've never threatened like this in writing. The state has always had the ability to withhold funds for various reasons, but they've never put them in writing like this. So it's a change. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not real worried about it. We always get things in on time and stuff. We've never had any issues with any of that, so I'm not worried about it, but it is a shift in philosophy.
With no further questions, on the agenda is executive session. Do I hear a motion that we go into executive session for the purpose of personnel matters, for the purpose of discussing the employment, discipline, or release of an employee or employees of the district, contractual matters?
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for the specific purpose of personnel matters, for the purpose of discussing the employment, discipline, or release of an employee or employees of the district and/or contractual matters.
We have a motion from Ms. Shackford. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Gahn. All in favor, please raise your hand. As unanimous, we are now in executive session.
can take mine. So Miss Broadbent gets here, I'll get through mine.
I got
Here.
one. I got one. I'm waiting on Carly.
Hey, don't try to us because
I
we gave money
said,
out.
we gotta do this thing.
Listen, I'm ready for it.
We're doing our best.
We've been in executive session for personnel matters for the purpose of discussing employment, discipline, or release of an employer and employees of the district / contractual matters. Do I have a motion that we go back into open session?
Motion that we return to open session.
Motion, Ms. Dawkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Surratt. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Thank you. That's unanimous. We are now in open session. Was there any action that needed to be taken from the executive session? There is none. At this time, next item on the agenda is superintendent's report. Dr. Fall.
First, I'd like to request that the board approve the personnel recommendations.
Superintendent has requested a motion to approve recommendations from personnel. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the personnel recommendations as presented.
Mr. Blackwell's motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Gallman. Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. That is unanimous. Thank you.
Next up, we have, I just wanted to remind you all that Skizbit Risky Business is coming up October 28th, or 26th through the 28th at Hilton Head. Board members are invited to that if you choose to go. And if you need some more information, I can get you a copy of the flyer that they sent to us. But basically, for the new folks, Skizbit is our insurance trust state organization. And they do, this conference is primarily to help with safety things. They do a grant that they give us to help buy. We bought vests, ladders, non-slip shoes, you name it with this grant that they give every year. So it's not a ton, but it is nice that they do give back a little bit. So if you want more information, if you have interest in going, just let me know and I'll get that to you. No questions about that. Next, I just wanted to give you all an opportunity, if you went to the SCISBA Law Conference, if you wanted to give an update on anything that you've seen or heard there.
I thought it was a great conference, and I just love to learn, and I've always been told that the more you know about school law, the less chance you'll have to meet a lawyer, so you need to keep abreast of anything that relates to law, school law. So I took lots of notes. I am a note taker. There'll be a big teeny tiny front and back of that one. And if you want to copy my notes, I'll be glad to share them. But to me, and I can tell you what I attended, they had a lot of general cases, some general sessions. That was great. It did bring a topic of transgender. That's probably something that's coming our way that we need to address at some point in time. I did attend a session on executive sessions, how to sink or swim in executive session. What to do when you're sued. I hope we never have to deal with that. But if we do, I have learned a little bit about that. Ethics for elected officials, but that was more about filing, so that was not the great session. I think Mr. Blackwell and I both attended that one. But the best one was on Sunday morning. Yes, we were there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Not everybody was. But it was very eye-opening. And Dr. Vaughn, you did a great job going over some of the legislative updates. I thank you for that. I think any of us, whether we're been in education or have not been in education, we need to know that. But one of my main concerns, let me say this first. One of the things I kept hearing over and over again, be fair and consistent. Be fair and consistent. And that's, even if any kind of law issue that we may encounter, they may look back at the last 3 years, what we have done as a district, so be fair and consistent. The other thing that concerned me was the vouchers. They did not pass in legislation this past year, but
that we may be faced with that this next year, and I think we need to be very cognizant of that. But also, we as a board need to build a stronger relationship with our state legislatures. I don't know how we are at this point in time, but we will have a new one, new House representative after November, and we have one of probably the most strongest senators in South Carolina right here in our county. But we need to build better relationships, I feel like, with our state people, and let them know how we feel about certain legislative issues. I probably talked too much.
That was my biggest takeaway too, was that going forward with this legislation, that, like Ms. Goldman mentioned, the vouchers did not pass, they will come up again next year. We have to have a united front and to be able to advocate for public schools. If we don't, nobody will. So we're gonna have to, as a board, advocate our legislators and go down to Columbia and let them know how much this funding means to us. If not, then the next 4 years are not gonna be pretty for public education. I went to 3 sessions too. They were all super important. Dr. Fall did a great job going over the legislation that did pass, but we really are gonna have to start paying attention to what's coming up in the next general session, because it's gonna affect every single one of us, our funding and our kids.
Can I say one more thing too? I'm sorry, Mr. Blackwell.
That's all right.
On September 28th, there is one. I know Tanya's sent something out. If we wanted to attend, I think we have a week from tomorrow to let her know and she can register us. But a big one is on November, I don't say big one, but an easy one is November 2nd. It's on a Wednesday from noon to 1. It's a webinar. I think if you have time, I'm planning on doing that one, Tanya, for sure. But I think, if you got a lunch break, participate in these, because I think it's very informative. And that is a legislative preview webinar that I think we need to all participate in.
I tell you, I don't know what I want to add to this. As Ms. Goldman and Ms. Shepard both said, there were several topics down there that was covered in that hearing. And many of them, I think I expressed one about the coach earlier, back when we were discussing back there, how we have to be sure that when we actually try to recommend or try to do anything, that our policy covers it, and that if it hasn't been covering it, that's one of the things they actually pushed on us heavily, that we need to review our policies. If we don't want something, then we need to be sure, if we've been doing it one way for the last 2 or 3 years, we need to be sure that we have our policy changed so that we are following the policy, at least. If we decide we're starting to maybe move another direction on something, okay? But, there was many of them, the sexual harassments, things of this nature there that was brought in, and we can't say that, if we have to be considered that we know about it or have been informed, even if it's not a written out form. If we know about it and it's been told in our presence and all that, we're aware. That's what it's considered. So whether it's a form been filled out and so to speak, legal complaint made or what, it doesn't make any difference. So that we can be held as just as liable. The transgender and non-conforming accommodations, that was a biggie. It's to the point now that we cannot stop someone if they have the legal papers and birth certificate and things of this nature. We can't stop them. We cannot even make them an accommodation separate from the others, because you can't single them out. So you got to be careful. There's a lot of things changing. Decisions and all that's went down, that we're all going to have to start living by. So you got to be careful with these kind of things. And a lot of the other things, the policy changes and all, for the Patriot policy, we must fly the U.S. flag, must fly the state flag every day, every school. So we got to be sure those things are being done. And we got to get our policies and all in draft form to present to the boards. not less than 30 days before implemented. So that's a new law. That policy has to be out 30 days. We can't decide now we're gonna do something and then make the policy change next month. You see what I'm saying? It has to be out and adopted 30 days prior. But it was a good class. It was a good conference, I think. That's all I got, Dr.
Thank you. And I think that was all that went, if I remember correctly. Next up, moving along to certification of delegates for 2022. Every year we have to go through this. We are allowed 3 votes. In the past, Mr. Blackwell has always been the delegate.
I'm on the board.
He is
So we
always,
can have 3 besides me, guys.
yeah, but he's always been the one because he's there anyways for it, but you guys have to make that determination of who you want to be the delegate or delegates, but we only get 3 votes. If we only nominate one person to cast all 3 votes, you can do it that way or the other way. So I'll open it up for you all.
Anybody that wants to go to the conference, I'd suggest we go ahead and give them a voting. I mean, because we sat there together and we able to decide yea or nay, we don't support.
When is
And we
the
can
conference this
be
year?
opposite, so.
That business meeting is on Saturday, December 3rd, 2022.
Will you send that information to us, Dr. Paul? Have that sent to us?
It should come out via email, regular mail
From
from
Skizzy.
Skizzy.
I'm skipping.
I guess the question is, who plan on attending other than Mr. Black?
I will plan on attending.
I'll go.
You do it.
I plan on attending.
I'll go as well.
All right, so
So there's 3 people. Do each one of you want to vote, or do you want one person to cast all 3 votes? That's your next decision you have to decide.
guys, we get to sit together so we can discuss it before we vote. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I just said it's nothing, no biggie to me.
Do you have to decide now, or you can decide?
Yeah, I need to send in
Oh,
the
okay.
form. I have to sign it, and then the chair has to sign it as well.
December 3rd.
I think physical numbers look good. I think if you had 3 people that were visibly and physically there, I think that looks good.
We can.
You can have more, but you just can't
I'm
have
just
3 on the
saying, but
committee.
you have 3 right there, right?
mhm.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Goldman said we each will cast our own vote.
Mr. Black said y'all could discuss it first.
And then we'll each cast our own vote. The same vote, but each our own. Strength in numbers.
Any alternates? Because if I put all 3 of you down and one of you don't end up going,
You lose a vote.
you lose a vote. I'm just,
It's in Charles.
I'm looking this way because that's the 3 people going.
Charles.
I can be an alternate.
Yeah.
I can be an alternate if needed.
All right.
was
Just
gonna say, if anyone else-
Ms. Goldman and Mr. Wilkins,
Yeah.
2 alternates. All right.
Sounds good.
I'll fill this out and then have you sign it. Other than that, next on the superintendent's report, if there's no further discussion, is you have a copy of the board monthly newsletter in your packet. And you also have in there, moving to the next item, announcements are also in there as well.
Dr. Paul, do we as a board do anything during homecoming? I see it was on the calendar. Do we sit together or?
I can only tell you that
'Cause we just
I've only
did
done
COVID,
one
right?
since I've been.
We used to, but like I said, the last couple of years, we haven't been.
And I honestly don't remember the first one, whether the board did anything in that one or not. I don't recall any board members being, but
I don't think we did, because that COVID was already on us.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I said, but do we sit together?
They usually have a reserved spot.
yeah, they'll have a spot for you.
Okay. 35.
All right, the next item on the,
I'm 20.
So the next item on the agenda is other matters. So at this point, for the new board members, if you have not experienced this, so basically what we do is we call each board member if there's any comments that you have to make. We can make this. So we'll start with Ms. Dahlman. Anything?
It was a great meeting tonight. I enjoyed seeing all the teachers and students receive recognition for their accomplishments, and I think it was great. I'm always about students and what they can, seeing them to be successful, so it was great seeing them receive their accomplishments tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Wilkins?
I'm just happy to be here. Like again, it's a good meeting. I'm excited for the future, and that's about it.
Ms. Shackelford?
Congratulations to all the honorees tonight, the students and the teachers, is well deserved. I wish we started every meeting with a list as long as we had tonight. It's just really uplifting, and it's one of the best parts of this job. So very happy that we were able to start the school year under normal circumstances, and I hope that we can keep that up. I don't think anybody will ever take for granted a normal school day after the last 3 years. So I hope that we can continue the progress and the momentum. So it was a good night, productive. I agree with that. So thank you.
Mr. Surratt?
Yeah, I echo the sentiments of the previous board members. Also, congratulate all the kids, but those ROTC kids, that experience they had this summer, that's a rough experience. I went through it years ago, and that's what made me not want to go in the military. So kudos to those kids. And also, and I know she didn't do it for recognition, but right after school started, I texted her personally, so I'm not trying to do nothing for public, but it was an accident involving one of our school buses, and they didn't get hit. And the people in the community was bragging on Ms. Dawkins being out there front and center in a hot summer day, making sure the kids was okay. And I texted her that night and told her that the people were bragging on her. And that's what it's all about, doing stuff, not for publicity or when the cameras are around, but doing stuff, when nobody's looking. And that's what it's all about.
Thank you.
Mr. Blackman?
I'd like to echo the comments that were made already for all the awards. I think it's great having all these awards. Anything we can recognize the kids, anytime you can pat them on the back versus scolding the kid, it's always better, I'll tell you. So I'd like to echo that. Also, I think Ms. Coleman may have said something about it, but the Regional Advocacy Conference is the 28th of this month, and it's just right here in Spartanburg. 20-minute drive, guys. 6 o'clock, I believe it was actually the time. But it's a pretty good thing to go because, like we were saying earlier, I think we not only need to maybe hit the State House down there when the time comes to be at the Capitol. That's only once a year that we get to see our legislators. I think we ought to start and bring them into a meeting here with us. Many of the districts, I'm on District 12 Directors Board. Many of the districts are doing that. That's what they're doing and how they're getting in and getting to be able to talk. They bring them in. They have a little breakfast with them or whatever, breakfast meeting or lunch, whatever. But, I think that's something we need to do to get ours on board now because there's decisions being made down there that we know nothing about until it hits us. And I think it would be good to get some input on something. Sometimes we agree with them and sometimes we don't. And we need to express that decision to them because I've had a couple tell them, if I thought y'all didn't want that, I wouldn't have voted.
Right.
It's too late. So it's too late, Tim. So I think we need to look at that. And also, I see our board committees here. Mark, I appreciate you getting this out to us. I'd like to see us use these committees. We were talking a couple things earlier, but, I think maybe the Property and Grounds Committee would be nice to go ahead and take up a couple of those items.
Right.
I may end up calling a meeting myself before it's over, just let you know.
Thank you, Mr. Blackman. Mr. Cash?
This was a wonderful first meeting for me, good experience. I also think that seeing the students recognized and the teachers and the support staff, if there's any other ways that we can do that, we have a ton of wonderful students, but also teachers and support staff in the district. And more times that we can recognize them. I think everyone not that everyone needs to be recognized, but everyone, you know, occasionally it's nice to be recognized, and I think if we could do that, that would be a wonderful thing. And then I also, Dr. Nix, for the committees, I appreciate sending this to us. I'm looking forward to working with my groups.
Thank you. Ms. Ship?
I share the same sentiments of the board in reference to the teachers and the students being acknowledged for their honors and accomplishments. I'm excited about the new members, your positive energy that you're bringing. I feel it, I love it, so I'm super excited about that. Positive energy means a lot.
Ms. Dalton?
Just echoing the sentiments of everyone else. So very proud of our 21 teachers who went through the master's program. That was just really exciting for our school district. The more our teachers learn, the more our children are able to learn. So I was extremely excited about that. So proud of all our honorees tonight. I also want to make sure I offer condolences again to the Zucker and Jones families for the loss of their loved ones. Is there anything the district can do for those families? I'm pretty sure that we will do that. Our motto, one of our mottos I know this year is together is better than one. So I just look forward to this board working together as one with positivity, as Ms. Shippey said, moving forward, doing what is best for the staff and the students of Cherokee County.
Thank you, Ms. Dawkins. And really can't add too much to that. Everybody has covered about everything. So just thank everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, Scott, for being here. So at this point, I have a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn?
A motion and a second. All in favor? We are adjourned.
That's fine.